Hey everyone, this is Alec from Reddit's Hex Encounter community. Thanks for joining me again on Wargame Wednesday. What I'm doing today is I'm doing the continuation of last week's stream where I played Decision Games RAF Lion variant in Vassal, actually. And I had done the first two raid days in that stream. There was a comment either on Board Game Geek or on YouTube, which was quite justifiable. That it felt a little strange watching the game in Vassal, given how narrow it was. It's kind of like looking through a soda straw a little bit. So I decided to take some time, set the game up here in the actual table, and this is as well as I could do it, a complete recreation of the board state based on where we had left off last week. This includes our heavy losses here from Liftoff 2 and the Ace squadron that we were able to create here near Debden, and a couple of reinforcements. Just some comments and some errata. The first comment being, you'll notice that we can't quite see as much as we could before. And that is somewhat by design. Regrettably, I need to still procure a little bit better of a table lamp arm apparatus to suspend the camera above my boards. And so this was kind of about the field of view I could get for you on this board and still have things be somewhat visible and without too much depth of field issues or parallax. But on the plus side, there's a lot of information here that is clipped out of the board that is not terribly relevant. Predominantly, a lot of the play aid information. There are some tracks up at the top that we've lost, but I can tell you what those are. Essentially, the replacement points and liftoff at depletion and turn counter. On the right side, we do have the victory points. We had left off at 4 victory points in the British favor. And so that's what we're looking at. Now, some of the errata, one thing being I had misplayed just by misreading the section of the rules I was in, the cost of the replacement squadrons I had been using. So for the 4 replacement squadrons, I had shorted my cost 2 experience points, 2 victory points each for each of those. So that is something to consider. The other thing to consider is I had also misplayed a force card, which gave myself a significantly harder time on that raid day that would never end. So this supports my theory that, particularly when doing solitaire play in war games, most of your flubs will tend to cancel each other out. And you'll still mostly be on track unless you have a really fundamental misunderstanding of a game system, how it's going to work. So don't let rules unfamiliarity keep you from getting into the game and exploring it and and enjoying your purchase and getting into the system. And then the question comes, how do we fix this? What do we do with it? And our options essentially boil down to I can try and roll back as much as we can to fix the things that I broke, or we can just press on. Now, of course, we can't roll back those force cards on that really long raid day. That happened, and we can roll back the entirety of the victory point flub. I'm going to split the difference here in that, I incurred some extra cost by a raid day for misplaying a force card, but I had a significant benefit by the amount of victory points I didn't have to pay by misplaying how much my reinforcements cost. So I'm going to go ahead and bring myself from 4 victory points on the British favor down to 0, and we're going to go with that. And with that, we will now begin the next raid day. This is August 19th. I'll go ahead and use the flip book, and we will get into this. So the next thing that we have to worry about now that we have set up for play is we are going to set up for the next raid day. So I'll actually grab just a general damage marker here to keep track of this. Nothing to repair. Time of day. We'll draw an event to figure out how far into the day we go. Time advance, let's see here, time advance 1. So I will go ahead and move the time from 0600 to 0800. Weather forecast, 1d6, 4, which is patchy clouds in both theaters. So we'll get a little bit more of the physical view of this game here. Okay, so we've got patchy clouds in both 2 and 3. I'll try and bring this down where we can all see it. There we go. All right. What do we have next? Advanced warning. Okay, so Luftwaffe 2 East is what we had on top of the deck last time. The next one that is on top of the deck is Luftwaffe 2 South. So it's coming here to this, from the second Luftwaffe, and probably coming to the east. So now we go into squadron patrol assignment. We are getting to much better strength. We'll recall that a lot of the east really was focused here closer to south. Nothing really is going too deep in at this point. And we also notice that occasionally these big grades fizzle out and you do end up seeing what's coming up on that next card. So what I think I'm going to do is I am going to get up some squadrons to help patrol the south lightly. I want to have kind of at least one squadron going in each of these areas. That way we can keep a patrol going, keep it pretty steady. So we'll do that. Let's see here. Try not to double up on selector IDs if I can avoid it. I'll go ahead and deploy my ace squadron, which I have noted down here is from 411. So we'll bring him one closer, bring him up. Okay, so in east, I've got 2 patrolling in 6 and 5. I do have 1 cap over London, and I've got at least 1 patrolling everywhere in south with some more on the ground. So I'm feeling pretty okay about this. I'm going to drop 1 more back here into 311 territory, patrolling over Northolt. Okay, so that looks like we've got the raid squadron patrol assignment. Now let's do our raid target determination. So what do we have here? All right, raid target is going to be the airfield at North Weald. Airfields, we note, are medium priority, and this is only a strategic value of 1. So this is going to be a minor raid, if anything, quite possibly nothing. So looking at that, I rolled a 2, which indicates that no raid occurs. So we will go ahead and get rid of that card and go, hey, well, looks like Luftwaffe 2 South is coming up. Next raid is targeted toward Kenley with a strategic value of 3. So there is going to be a raid there. Again, being an airfield. So we'll look at that. As a 1, we're looking at a minor raid. Okay. So that we do have a raid target determined. I'll go ahead and drop this up where I had it before when I was in the vassal module. We now get to determine British detection. Okay. Patchy clouds, which is going to tell me, I'll put this here. Oh, right under the chat text. By the way, if any of you are there in chat, feel free to chime in. Pardon me while I hunt around for a good place to put this. Okay, so it's a minor raid, no DRM for the raid being large. I've got 2 radar nets, which will give me 4 on the DRM, and patchy clouds for another 4. So this is +8 on this DRM for detection. 6 + 8 is 14 on the detection track, which is just out of your view. That is a sufficient warning with accurate intelligence. So I'm going to have quite a bit going for me here. And really, I'm not going to need to do a delayed response at all. Okay, so that was my detection. Now raid size determination from the force card. We are looking at a single grouping. This guy is going to get schwacked. He really is. Probably a recon of some sort, although he's going to drop some bombs. And so now he will deploy before I decide what else to do. So as a minor raid, it's just a fighter suite. A single ME 109. So let me go ahead and grab a 109 from Luftwaffe 2. And where did the rest of my 109s go? Stand by briefly. Oh, yep, I'm silly. I'm looking here at my Luftwaffe 2 area, and I'm not seeing anything. That's because I had not quite pulled out all of the fighter counters from my chit tray. There we go. There is the very, very well staffed 2nd Air Group, Air Force. So I'll grab this guy here, and he's going to be in the hunt box. And just real quick, I'll go ahead and drop all these into their respective areas. All right, maybe so many counters. All right, so and so this is going to probably be a very bad day for this one group, and I'm going to be able to respond. I'm going to be able to jump all over them. How much do I want to overcommit? Not quite sure. There was some pretty valid and interesting criticism and critique about, well, one could argue about a little bit maybe of ahistorical play on my part in last week's stream, where I was not, in situations where I had more squadrons than there were grouping on the board in the hunt box, I was not strongly pressing that advantage and pushing a lot through to the bombers, and instead going to really maximize my odds against the fighters, which one could argue is a little bit ahistorical. Really the British were trying to disrupt these bombers at all costs, and really to the extent of even completely ignoring the escort where they could. And so I wasn't quite doing that. And that's something that's interesting. Maybe we can discuss that a little bit. That plays into an intertwine here between game design and the way the system works to incentivize my play and behavior, and then perhaps a little bit of we can say an author's thesis here. Is there something that Butterfield is trying to say about the conflict, or about how these things worked out, or am I just doing it wrong? Am I just doing something wrong and the system's going to punish me for it? I don't quite know. But okay, so we've got our group here, we've done our deployment, and now I can do my accurate commitment. With sufficient warning, I can do squadrons patrolling and in sectors en route. So anybody in 2 or 711 can take a crack at this guy. The next one is coming from 2 south. If I'm looking here at my early warning on the next targets deck. So I still am kind of going to be focused in this area. I don't necessarily want to go completely bonkers here, but I think I do want to get a really strong showing against them. So I'll respond with the 2 squadrons that I have on patrol in those sectors, and I will move them to the hunt box. So that's what we're going to have there. I'll go ahead and discard my force cards. All right, so I've done my commitment. We have done the interception. The raid approach event is undetected hunters if the intelligence rating is poor. I have wonderful intelligence, sufficient, I would say, or accurate, I would say. So we don't need to worry about that. So now we do the hunter attack. Okay. So coming here to the combat charts table, maybe I would want to do 3 to try and make an ace out of one of these, but I think, oh boy. Well, I already had the event, so we're going to go ahead and play it. Okay. So, hunter attack. I've got 8 combat factors against a single grouping. So looking at that, with 1 grouping in combat, 8 factors, I'm on the G column, which I think actually, yes, this will allow me to create an A squadron if so warranted. Okay, so I'm here on the G column. There should be no other column shifts that apply, so we're just going to go ahead and roll this on the G column. 3. So for the Luftwaffe, that actually disrupts this guy in the hunt box. A disrupted full group goes straight to in-flight. So he's just kicked out, which is about as good as he could have hoped for. For me, I get actually... boy, this is worse for me than it is for him. I disrupt the Spitfire, so he goes into the in-flight box, and the C squadron actually goes to the light loss box. So that was awful. Alright, so I've got 211 as a light loss. Can only imagine that this light loss I have here from 611 from earlier was previously a heavy loss. I'll just assume that that was the case, and I'll lose my VP for that result. So, okay, that was pretty terrible, but that's how the dice work sometimes. We'll go ahead and go do the right target event, if for no other reason than to figure out what our time advance is. The event doesn't matter, there's no bombers, but we do get a time advance of 0, so that's not great. That's not what I was hoping for. But it is what it is. Okay, so we'll get rid of that raid card. Nothing else happens. The clock update is 0, so we'll just start the new raid phase. New target from Luftwaffe 2 South is the Port of Dover, strategic value 3. Ports are high, strategic value 3. This is a major target, pretty much no matter what I do. So big raid coming here at 611. So I still have a lot of things ready to go for this. So we do have our target. Now let's go against British detection. I've got 2 radar nets up for 4 DRM. I have 3 DRM for this being a major raid for 7. Not really good to see it in these clouds. So 8 from my observers. So DRM of 8 on this major raid coming into Dover. I'll take the 5. 8 and 5 is 13, which brings me to, interesting, early warning, but poor intelligence. So... all right, well that is what it is. Early warning, poor intelligence, which means I actually have to do my commitment now before I see what comes out there, which is not going to be good. So early means squadrons patrolling and in sectors en route. So anyone in 611 can turn up, and patrolling in range. People patrolling in 5 or 7. So no one's patrolling in 7. I can take these people here patrolling in 5 and bring them into the fight. Take these people here patrolling in 6, bring them into the fight. That's 4 squadrons so far. A lot of Bs. Again, with the choose your own designator idea. Good news is with this Ace Hurricane Squadron, I'll actually get a beneficial shift in combat. But if I sneak him past the bombers, I'll get a beneficial shift in bomber combat. Now the question is, how much do I want to commit, given that this is a poor intel? So I could potentially scramble everybody and have nothing there. I can take off some of these guys here on the ground and 611. And I think... boy, what do I want to do? I think I am going to send one up. So I'm going to go ahead and send one of them up, and that will be 5 total squadrons reacting. Okay, so I've done my commitment. Raid size determination. Major raid, Luftwaffe at full strength, 7. Okay, that's about as good as I could have hoped for. So we'll just see which 7 we earn here. So raid deployment now. We'll get the types of grouping. So I get 7. The bombers are DO-17s. So I'll grab, let's see, an A and a B bomber. I get 2 110s as close escort. Those will be the 2 elite 110s per special rule. And given that those are an A and a B, let me swap out for different designators. I'll grab a C here. Okay. And I get now 3 109s, one of them on channel patrol. So A, B, and a C. All right, we'll put the B on channel patrol. I got an A and a B here, or A and a C here. And we are off to the races. Okay. All right, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. We're going to have a good day. So, first thing I want to do is I am going to sneak... I don't think I have to do that here at this point. Okay, so that was the raid deployment. And we now do the hunter interception. So I am going to, I must send at least one of these forward, given the advanced rules on what we have here. And so I will do that. I'm going to send 2 of them forward, actually, to ensure that we get a full interception of the bombers, which leaves 3 to... Excuse me. 3 to 2. And I'll treat this squadron as a C, just so I get a good spread of results and don't pile up. So we've done the Hunter interception, raid approach event, cloud scatter the raid. If the region has patchy or broken clouds, which it does, reduce all A grouping. Okay, so we'll reduce you, we'll reduce you. That one broke in my favor. Okay, and so now we'll do the Hunter attack. So, combat factors here. I've got 11 factors of my aircraft, 1 more from the reduced 109 for 12 factors against 2 grouping. Looking here, 2 grouping, 12 factors puts me on the F table. I do not have my ace involved in this combat, so this is just going to be a straight roll against F. That was a 2. So no result against the reduced grouping, which actually sends him to in-flight as a reduced grouping. And the C is aborted, so he will come here reduced. Now for me, I am disrupted on both of these, and this is a light loss. So not doing well here on light losses early in the game. That gets me down to 2 VP for their side. And on my disruptions, I kind of get how I want to do this. I can send these to in-flight full, or I can reduce them to send them forward to meet the bombers. This combat against the bombers is going to be pretty good. But it's kind of one of these things where I'll take just about whatever I can get. So let me reduce this Spitfire, send him forward, and I'll take this Hurricane and send him home. Okay. So pretty good interception there. Now we'll do the raid target event. All right. Target event. Non-essential target. Reduce bomb damage result by 1. Damage does not affect. So we'll take the reduce by 1. And of course, I love that time advance too. So, get this card out of here. Now that we've had that event, we'll do our squadron interception. Everyone is intercepted. The channel patroller will proceed. And we now do the combat. So, on the squadron attack, we'll just make sure I get all of the appropriate DRM here. I have 6... and 3 is 9, and then another 10 is 19 combat factors from my squadrons and the bombers, and an additional 3 combat factors from the escort. So 19 and 3 is 22 factors against 4 grouping. So 4 grouping, 22 is the F column. An ace squadron is involved, so that goes down to the G column. Rolling on the G column, or row, I should say, 2. I am rolling pretty crummy. The A group are disrupted, so that reduced close escort goes to in-flight reduced. Let's see. The B group are heavy losses. That works out. So that's 4 VP of heavy losses for me, bringing me to 2 VP on the British side. And the C group aborts. All right. So none of the bombers make it through to their target, which is great. Now for me, okay. Nothing happens to this guy A. He comes through as he is. The C hurricane is disrupted, which flips him, and he is now reduced. And quite tragically, my A squadron suffers a light loss. And so, despite how hard it was to create that A squadron, we now get to look at what happens when an A squadron has a loss. So, losing an A squadron, if an A squadron suffers a light or heavy loss, it loses its A status. Replace with the original squadron. Place the squadron back in the box. It's available to re-enter play, etc. So I lose a VP for the light loss, and kind of more debilitatingly, I lose my ace squadron, which now comes back as his non-ace self and is a light loss from 411. So you were good while you lasted. I really appreciated your efforts there, but it just was not to be. Okay. But fantastic turn. Big VPs my way. Big bombing raid that didn't happen. And very importantly now, clock update. So I get a 2-tick clock update. So for time advance, let's see here. So I advance the marker. Actually, at the end of this, I do have to do German recovery. And of course, I should have done a German recovery at the end of the previous raid. So these guys go 3 ahead. Yes, full fighters, clocks place +3. So it's 8 o'clock, 10, 12, 1400. These go to 1600, flip to full. The bomber that has not been obliterated goes back to his base, reduced. He will not do anything for the time being. And we keep my folks in there until we do the airfield. Okay. And so now that I've done the time advance, I'll move the time forward 2 ticks to high noon. And now I do my airfield operations. So I did 2 time advances. Nobody is in rearmor land, so they don't do anything. Anything in patrol goes to its sector. So you go back to 112. This is much easier to do in the push of a button. You come here to 311. You go to 410. You go to 410. Okay, I think that's all of my patrols. All right, so that's good. Full in flight go to their sectors, and so you will go to 511, and you'll go to 111, and reduced in flight goes to rearm, flip to full. 611 on rearm, 711 rearm. Okay, board has been reset, and we are now ready to go to we did German fighter turnaround, we did squadron, advance warning. Okay. So Luftwaffe 3 is first out of the chute. 2 south is the one that would be coming up on deck from early warning. So we're looking here for where the raids are, less so here. All right, squadron patrol assignment. Looking at the raid priorities, well, there is a radar here. So let me get you up. I'm really not seeing anything come this far back, but I'll tell you what. We'll move you forward to here. Send you up to here. Get 2 up in each of these. Yeah. Get you up. Up. Go up here. And I'm going to go with my little trick of trying to have at least 1 patrolling in each of these areas. That way I've got something in the air. So, okay, we'll go with that. Looks good to me. Still stuff on the ground. We got more raid day to go, but I like that patrol assignment. Raid target determination. Portsmouth, port, strategic value 3. Well, ports are high priority. Strategic value 3 can only be a major raid, so this is going to be a major raid. So there you go. British detection now. So I've got, it's a major raid for 3 DRM, 3 radar nets for another 6 DRM, 9 DRM total, patchy clouds, 10 DRM. These folks are coming in with bells on. So 10 and 4 is 14. That is sufficient warning with accurate intelligence, and I do like that result. So raid size determination. It's a major raid. This will be 9, and I get to deploy the raid before I deploy my squadrons due to the accurate intelligence. So here we go. So 9 grouping on this. 2 111s and a 17. Well, we have no 17, so that'll be an 88. So here are my 2 111s. Here's an 88. Exactly what's coming out here. Okay, so there's that. I have, let's see here, 1 ME 110 coming in as a close escort. I'll grab an arbitrary one. C was on top. That works for me. And then that leaves, let's see, that's 4. That means the remaining 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are 109s. One of them's a channel patroller. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So here they come. All right. So 4 in the hunt box, 3 bombers, 1 close escort, and 1 channel patroller. Raid is deployed. They're coming here to Portsmouth, 111, which is right on the edge between Luftwaffe 2 and Luftwaffe 3. So now I get into my accurate squadron commitment. With sufficient warning, I can get squadrons patrolling and en route, which actually means I can grab all of these guys patrolling, send them in, and I can get everyone to scramble from Tangmere, which I am going to do. That's going to give me 5 squadrons to meet the 4 grouping in the hunt box, and then hopefully get a few more through. Reordering these to kind of be by selector. Got 2 A's, 2 B's, and a C. That works for me. I will be somewhat historical. I don't want to risk getting a bad result here and having nothing get to the bombers, so I will send 1 squadron through to meet the bombers on this hunter interception, but I'll leave the rest of them as essentially 1-to-1 matching on each of these. So that was our interception. We'll do the raid approach event now. Channel patrollers hunt if target is coastal or inland. And of course it's a port, so it is coastal. So now these guys drop down here and join the hunters. Well, now the tables have turned just a little bit. This is going to be a pretty hard nut for me to crack. And now we do the hunter attack. Okay, well, we'll leave that there. It's fine. All right, let's all wish me luck here. This is not going to be good. I've got 5 grouping, 2 Hurricanes, and 2 Spitfires. Give me a total of 14 combat factors against 5 grouping. This is going to not be good. So 5 going down here to 14 is the D column, which is pretty awful. It's kind of parity there. So rolling on the D column, 3. So I disrupt A and B's, which for grouping a disrupted one simply goes to in-flight. So these guys go to in-flight. These guys go to in-flight. And C's abort, so he will go to in-flight flipped. Okay. My A's get disrupted, and I will have him go through flipped. My B's, roll a 3, right? Yep. All right. My B's abort, so these guys have to flip and go to in-flight. And my C is a light loss. So that's another VP for the Germans. We're now at 0 VP, and that is a light loss in 111. There we go. All right. So that's that. I do have 2 of the bomber group intercepted, though, so that's pretty good. So that was the hunter attack. We will now do the raid target event, which is non-essential target. Reduce bomb damage and by 1, and time advance 2. So again, getting lucky there on speeding through the day. So squadron interception. One of these will now not be intercepted and move on. I will choose to not intercept the 88, and he is being escorted by the 110, so they peel off together. The interception is now over these units, and will result the squadron attack. So this is, these 2 grouping are 12 factors, and then the 5 I bring are 17 against 2 grouping. Okay, so 17 brings me all the way down here to H. I will take it. 6, I'll really take that one. The A selector is a light loss. There are none of those. The B selector is a heavy loss for 2 VP. The C selector is a light loss for 1 VP. Three British VP, for those of you keeping track at home. And for those of you at home, if you're in chat, please do chime in. Let me know you're here. Just like to see we got folks watching, and let me know if you have questions. All right, I'm going to treat this as an A and a B, again, because of getting random selectors. The A and B are both the same result in this case, which is disrupted. So the full squadron, they essentially both go to in-flight reduced as disrupted. So they come here. Okay. So that was the squadron attack, and now we do get to bombardment. So I'll bring the close escort to in-flight. He has no more play. I have 5 bombing combat factors, which puts me right here on the bombardment column. Now we do have some shifts. All right, they were intercepted, but it is patchy cloud. So we go 1 column left here to the 3 column. So rolling on the 3 column. Okay, that result is a 3 for no damage. So no damage, no VP. I kind of got off easy there. And we'll now put him on in flight. German recovery. So he goes back to his base, not to do another sortie. JU-88, there we go. The full grouping go 3 ahead. It's currently noon, so 3 ahead would be 1800. And the reduced one would go to the end of the day, so I'm simply going to move him back, flipped, there. Okay. All right, so that was German recovery. Now we're going to go ahead and do our clock update. We have time advance 2 from that previous event, so we're going to speed through this clock again. So we'll go down here to airfield operations. So I'm going to move ahead the clock ahead to the 1600 space. I'm going to pick up a whole bunch of German fighters from the second Luftwaffe, Luftflotte, I guess I should say, and get them to where they go. So it's going to be kind of a slow raid day for the Germans. These are B selectors. Okay. So we've done the German fighter turnaround. Now the squadron turnaround. Rearm and land. Go to their sectors. Get rid of you. So A goes to his the 611 will go to his sector. 711 will go to his sector. Patrols go to their sectors. Go back to 4, 2, 5, 7. Oops. 2. Let's see, what else do we have? 4, 3, 1, 312 over here. Okay, I think that's all the patrols. Full in-flight go to their sector, but I managed to reduce all of the ones pretty much that I scrambled. Reduce in-flight, go to rearm, flip to full. So 111, 311, 410, 410. Okay, and then another 111. 111's been pretty active this time. 111 and 611. Early in the game, you see a lot of action there. All right, squadron turnaround's been completed. Do advance warning. Luftwaffe 2 South is both cards, actually. So it's going to be one of these. So that's my advance warning. Squadron patrol assignment. Well, safe money is going to be that it's going to be coming here. So if you are a betting type, that's what you do. So then the question is, what's the deployment strategy? I think 511 comes in pretty big here at helping in the center. I think 511 is actually going to do a full press and patrol over London, patrol over 311, and push 1 forward here to 611. So this is, I'm going to say 1 here. I'm going to actually push to London from, to 311 from 212. We're going to push you up here. Okay. Also going to try and push these guys this way a little bit. Let me get, oh yeah, what the heck is up with 111? Everybody's broken. Like everyone that I would have here in 111 is either waiting to rearm or landed. Okay, I'm going to have to just, essentially 410's just pushing over. They've got to cover this sector. because no one's going to be able to scramble from coastal here. We're going to have to leave middle wallop open. So that makes me a little bit uncomfortable. Let me put a patrol over there from 310. Okay, so that covers that. Let me now... I'm just going to have to throw these guys into the air. That's really all there is to do at this point. Okay, well that's something. And we'll leave it at that. So that's my patrol assignments. Now beginning the raid phase. Kenley, forward airfield. Okay, so we'll note that this is going to give us a negative DRM. Let's review what the advanced came forward airfield does for us. First of all, if this even happens. So let's first figure out if this is happening. So strategic value of 2 against an airfield. Airfields are medium. Strategic value 2 could kind of go either way here. 1, okay, doesn't happen. Well, so much for that airfield. Liftoff 2 south is next again. All right, radar net 6, strategic value of 2. So this is going to be a raid. It's going to be a major raid against Forness here. Okay. All right, so let's now figure out if we detect it. 3 DRM for the major raid, 4 more for the radars, bring us to 7, and then 1 for the observers brings us to 8. So this is 8 DRM against the attack on the radar net. 8 and 5 is 13. Early and poor. Okay. Well, we have our detection. Now I get to do my commitment. With early, I can do squadrons patrolling and in sectors en route and patrolling in range. So anyone in 611, all these guys can pop up. 5 and 7 can join as well. Major raid. Well, if you're gonna get me, I'm gonna go big. That should be everyone that's allowed to commit to this. You'll note that I've got 3 A selectors and 2 C selectors, so I'm gonna go ahead and grab one of the A's and make it a B for the purposes of randomness. Okay, well I've done my commitment. Raid size. No whammy, no whammy, no whammy. Of course. Of course. No raid. The gremlins were at Forness. Radar controllers losing their minds. Calling for help. Ground controllers sending over squadrons, and some poor squadron leader in the air going, what is going on? Okay, well, that's the problem of poor intelligence. Insert GIF here from Team America of them chastising the computer intelligence. Okay, so that was no raid. So we are now back to raid target determination. Again, 2 south is what I'm going to have. This is against Biggin Hill, strategic value 2. So it's medium, strategic value 2. Major raid against Biggin Hill. That's what it was. This is going to be pretty awful. All right, let's go against our detection. It's a major raid for 3 DRM. Another 4 for the radars for 7. And then another 4 from observers for 11 DRM. Rolling a 2 gets it still 13. So early poor on this one as well. I have to do my commitment, so I can get anyone airborne in range or en route. So anyone airborne in 311, 611, 211, and London can come. And then I'll take anyone in the sector en route, so Biggin Hill will scramble. So now I think the major raid is coming for Biggin Hill, and everyone is getting in the air. Let's see. Now I've got the problem of 2 A's and 3 B's, so I will send one of the B's to be a C, and that will be my deployment. Hopefully this one isn't a whole bunch of phantoms. Okay, so that was my that. So now raid size determination, 8 grouping. Raid deployment. I feel justified at least that there's something there. Okay. Oh, interesting. It would call for Stukas to come in, but this this Air Force already had all theirs shot up. So we're going to then have to go down the normal pecking order. And for those of you that need a quick reminder, what you do is you substitute 88s and then 17s and then 111s. So I get 3 bombers. I will grab the 2 88s I have and then a 17. So A, B, and C. All right. So there are the 3 bombing grouping. And then the remaining, let's see here, this was 8. So the remaining 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are all 109s with 1 on channel patrol, 1 on close escort. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Close escort, channel patrol, and then 3 in the hunt box. A, B, C. All right. That was the raid deployment, and we now go to hunter interception. I am going to continue with my desire to get at least one guy through to the bombers, at least one. So I'm going to send one of the Hurricanes up. He will intercept at least one, and I'm going to hope that the rest of this is enough to get me through. So that's going to be my hunter interception. What do the events have for us? Let me, first of all, get rid of those. Okay, raid event is clouds inhibit the hunters. If the region has patchy or broken clouds, which it does, then a grouping in the hunt box leave the raid. So we are down 1 hunter. That's an event I appreciate. Okay, so now we do hunter attack. I've got 2 grouping in the hunt box, and I've got 9 and 4 is 13 combat factors against 2 grouping. So 2 grouping, 13 is the G column. So I'll go ahead and roll on that. 4, not too shabby. Light loss against A and B group. So that will be a light loss for 1 VP, bringing me to 4. And disruption on the remaining C group, and the disruption is simply going to inflate. Okay. Now for mine, the A squadron aborts. The C squadron makes it through, and my B squadrons will are disrupted. I will choose to send 1 through to make sure that we intercept all the bombers, and let the other one come through on that. So okay, so that is the hunter attack. Now the raid target event is undetected escort. If the intelligence rating is poor or limited, I did have poor intelligence here. So double checking what undetected escort gives us. Move 1 grouping from its airbase to the close escort box, and in addition to those already assigned, select 109 before selecting 110. So I'll get 1 more 109 here. I'll go ahead and grab a C109, and he is an additional close escort. Now shoot. Okay. Come on. All right, so a few more Jerrys than I was hoping for, but now we will do squadron interception. Everyone is intercepted. I'll go ahead and move the channel patroller off. He will not be a factor. And now I've got 5 grouping. 15 combat factors plus another 8 is 23 combat factors against 5 grouping. So 5 grouping, 23 is the F column. So rolling on F, and again, we'll treat this one as a C. F row, I should say. It's a 4. Okay, so we will disrupt A's. So that will flip him. He will stay in the bomb box. And the escort will go to in-flight reduced. Light loss for the B for victory point, bringing me to 5. And C's are aborted. So you'll flip, and you will flip as well. All right, so one bomber does make it through in some shape. The rest of me for the squadrons are A and B are disrupted. So these guys both are reduced and go in flight. And C aborts, which as a full squadron, aborting is the same result. Okay. So that's that. Not too bad, actually. I'm pretty okay with all of that. Which brings us now down to bombardment. Just 3 bombing factors. 1 shift to the left for weather has this bombing on the 2 column. So only a result or a 5 or a 6 will result in damage. Of course, I rolled a 5, which is 1 point of damage to the airfield. And we will have to inflict airfield. So we'll move 1 squadron from the airfield sector to the landing box. 711 has no one in the sector. And so we'll have to take it from the rearm box. So 7, there's no one in the rear. Everyone is in the air. There's no one on the ground. So thankfully, nothing further detrimental happens. He disrupted some ground buildings, maybe damaged some runways. Runways fixed pretty quickly, so that's not too big of a deal. But he didn't destroy any of my Air Force. All the squadrons are in the air to meet these threats. So I will take that every day. Okay, German recovery. We're at 1600, so nobody's going to go back to the clock. We're going to hit end of day here before anything else. So all the Germans will go back to the clock, their bases, reduced, simply to note that if I have just an abysmal final raid segment today, that it's not going to take forever. They'll run out of Air Force eventually. And same thing with these 2 surviving bombing groups. C, C, and A. All right. Oops, A over here. So that was the German recovery. The clock update on our event was 1. So we will go ahead and come over here to the round summary for 1 time advance. Everyone here in rearm goes to their sector. So you'll go here to 410. 111 and 311. Hey, not a lot of turnaround time. I'm not going to have a lot of fighters ready to go here. This is going to be pretty bad. Well, people landing go to rearm. People on patrol go to rearm. So I'm just looking for patrol circles. All the U guys, all the U. That's that. Okay. So 310, 410. A lot of 410. I pretty much scrambled everyone I could find in 410 to cover this. Okay, because no one was able to cover 111. All right, so that's the patrol going to rearm. Full in flight go to rearm, which is most of my Air Force that got misdirected, going for the Forness interception. So 611, 611. So it's a lot easier with the click of the button in the Vassal module, I do have to say. There's something very gratifying about touching counters and having clipped and rounded them. I do have to apologize. I'm pretty sure that this may have been the first game I ever clipped, and I kind of, I learned a lot in that process. So we did the full in flight, reduced in flight, now go to land. So I'll flip these guys all over. All right. 211, 511, 211, and 711. Okay, so you can see now I'm actually starting to get very congested down here, right? This has been, 2 sequential raid blocks, a lot of losses, and a lot of fighter turnaround. So we're pretty thin on what we can have to support this raid. Oh, and I did forget to do, to actually move that 1 hour. So we'll go ahead and do that. We are now at 1800, the last block of the day. And these guys go back to their bases, ready to go for the raid day. All right. So, final raid hour. Advance warning. The card that I know is Luftwaffe 2 South. The card on deck is Luftwaffe 3. So, this is going to be a little tricky, actually. All right, let me think about how I can use 12 group to my best advantage. I think what I do here is I push from Wittering up to cover patrolling over Bristol or Cardiff. I think he gets pushed up there. I don't think these folks near Norwich can really do anything. They can get up to here, which really doesn't let them come up. There's not going to be anything coming into east. They're not coming this far in. So I think that those guys don't actually get to help me that much. I think one thing I can do is I can push from Debden here to patrol over 311 near Stanmore and patrol 511. Give me a little bit of coverage there in case there's something I can do. I am really, really hurting in the south. I have to pick my winners and losers. I think it's gonna be six or one. Sector 6 or Sector 1. There's just really no other way that this could happen. So let me push up to 6. Let me come here from Middle Wall up to 1. Actually, no. Let me go from Northolt to 1. Let me get you up. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Okay. Let me do that. The off chance it comes here towards Kenley, I'll try and spread that out. Just going to stack here for the moment, push forward. So this isn't pretty, but just about everyone's in the air right now. So this is, I think, what I can do. And with Luftwaffe 2 South, Luftwaffe 3 being the two cards I can see, spinning a lot up here at the dividing line between them is probably prudent. Okay, let's see what the target is. Biggin Hill, 711. Of course. And it's actually a forward airfield, so it's going to be up here. Well, strategic value of 3 airfield. So there's going to be a raid. It's going to be a minor raid. Let me just real quick double check any rules on forward airfields with regards to detection or with regards to anything. So advanced rules, forward airfield targets. Subtract 2 from the detection modifier, and then that brings down the results of H down to a 2. Okay. So a minor raid with the -2 detection modifier, I am not going to really be able to see this. So for detection for this minor raid, I've got 4 for radar, I've got 3 for observer for a total of 7, -2 for this being a forward airfield gets me down to 5. That is the DRM. Rolling 1 is a 6. Well, that's awesome. Late and poor. Okay. Well, now I get to poor commitment. So I could do a delayed response and upgrade it to sufficient. Right now, the only people I can make it are people patrolling in 711. If I do a delayed response, I can bring in people from 6 and from 2. And I think I just have to do that. There's really no other course of action here. So I'll note that I've done a delayed response. And that we are going to, again, since it's been a week since I've done this, we'll just re-review the procedure for the delayed response, which is essentially that during squadron commitment, we make that adjustment. Squadrons responding to the raid use the higher of the warning levels. So we're going to upgrade that warning level from late to sufficient, which allows me to bring in... Oh, wait, you know what? That doesn't do anything. Going from late to sufficient will allow me to bring them in from the airfield at Biggin Hill, but there's no one that can scramble there. So it really doesn't matter. No delayed response. Nothing can happen here. This is just going to happen. So raid size determination for this minor raid is minor raid, intelligence poor, 6. Oh, dear God. All right. And now let's deploy them. So 2 88s. Oh, wow. This is going to be the only time here that 88s are actually able to do anything. And I'm just going to have a ton of aircraft on the ramps getting bombed. Okay. A 110 and 3 109s. So here's my 110. 1, 2, 3 109s. One of these 3 109s is a channel patroller. Actually, let me get the A. There we go. Not that any combat's going to happen, so I don't know why I care, but okay. Okay, so that's the raid deployment. Hunter interception. No squadrons. Group into in-flight. Raid approach event. German altitude advantage, which will really be not applicable here. Hunter attack, nothing happens. Raid target event. Oh, good, we're going to have a follow-up raid here. That's even better. Flak. Reduce all B bomber grouping. I will take it. I will take it. Okay. Okay, so that's the raid target event. And now we do squadron interception. There is no squadrons in the BB, so grouping in close escort come down to the bomber box. And we'll apply 2 column shift when bombing, which is exactly what I need. So, no squadron attack, now we'll do bombardment. Okay, so this is going to be pretty awful. So, looking at the bombardment table, so far here I have, appears to be 2, 4, and 7. Yep, so I've got 7 combat factors from the strafing 110 and the Stukas. No squadrons are in the bombing box, so I'm going to shift from the 7 to the 11 column for the 2 column shift. All are 88s and the target's not a radar. That would be a further 2 shift from the 11 to the 17. Now, I know I can only shift 3, but we're going to shift 1 back for patchy clouds. So that brings me back to a total of 3 shifts. So this is going to be on the 12 to 14 column. Ugh. So, okay, bombing on 12 to 14. Oh, now I roll a 6. Okay, so this is heavy damage. So, lucked out here. Forward airfield. So on a heavy damage to a forward airfield, it's reduced to a 2. So given that this is 2 damage, I will lose 2 victory points. That brings me down to 2 victory points. I will move 2 squadrons from land. From the sector to the landing box, and there are none in the sector. So now instead I'll move 2 from rearm box. So these will be kicked back to land. Lose 1 replacement point for every squadron in the landing and light loss boxes up to the damaged number. So I will have to lose 2 replacement points. We'll call it 1 Spitfire, 1 Hurricane. I actually got a ton of Hurricane. I'll call it, I do have 2 Hurricanes, so I'll call it 2 Hurricane replacements lost. Okay. Yipe. And now these all progress here to in flight. And the bombers, of course, actually go straight back. All right. And that was bombardment. Now we'll do German recovery. And these all go flipped back to where they came from, whence they came. Since, what was I? Interesting. Okay, so I played that wrong, essentially, by pulling bombers from forces from 3rd Luftwaffe instead of 2nd Luftwaffe. So that was an error. And so I can reset and not have those particular forces. I think in the end here, the column shifts are going to work out the same, given that the Ju-88s have much lower bombing strength, but they applied column shifts. So I think in total here, I'm going to treat all the combat results as the same. I'll just now apply them to the appropriate forces. So no one had a light loss, so we'll put all of you back. So okay, so it was what was that? 110, 3 bombers, which would have been 3 DO-17s. They would have done the bombing. And then a handful here of 109s. Okay, so mostly got that fixed. This is relevant because we're just going to do this whole thing again. Time advance 0, follow-up raid. It's the same type, so this was just an enormous minor raid. So it will be a minor raid again, and I get to redetect it. So now, it's also still against the forward airfield. So it's a follow-up raid at +1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. -2 is 6. 12, which is sufficient and limited. Okay. So I get to get the raid size since I do have limited intelligence. Minor raid, limited intelligence. This is going to be 2 grouping on this one. And now I get to do my deployment. So sufficient actually still doesn't let me get anyone, but I can do a delayed response and upgrade my warning to early, which will allow me to bring in patrolling in range, which will include 2, 6 in London. So I will be able to respond to the 2 that are coming with these 2. So limited raid deployment now. Let's go ahead and do our raid deployment. Minor raid, +2 ME-109 sweep. So just clarifying what the ME, actually, the flip probably has this straightforward. There we go. The force card says +2 ME-109 sweep for a minor raid size. Increase the raid size, take that mini 109s instead of the listed, substituting 110. So this is just 109s coming through and doing a sweep. So I've got 4 109s coming in. 1, 2, 3, 4. And they're coming to tussle. And of course I provided a couple guys for them to tussle with. So this delayed response is really not applicable at this point. All right. Hunter interception, that's all that's happening. Raid approach event. ME-109 close escort, not applicable for this fighter sweep. Hunter attack. All right. 7 combat factors against 4 group. Anyone want to guess how this is going to go? We're taking bets. Okay. 4 group, 7 combat factors. That's on the B column. Oh dear. See a lot of H's on the British results. 1. Well, that'll do it. These guys move on. This one is disrupted. And for me, heavy loss to A, light loss to B. It's a victory point loss. I'm down to 1 VP on my side. And disrupted to C. That could have gone a lot worse. Like a lot worse. All right, so that was the Hunter attack. Raid target event. Let's see what the clock does for us. Doesn't go anywhere. No depletion. Okay. Secondary target also not a factor. Okay. We're again with the theme of the end of the day being kind of brutal. Bombardment, German recovery. So we'll get these guys all back to roughly where they're supposed to go. We'll note here that that the 2nd Air Force is starting to run out of gas as far as fighter escort goes. So, and you'll stay there. Okay. German recovery, clock update. There's no clock update. We're at No Luftwaffe depletion, so raid target determination. This is the 3rd Air Force for this target. This is going to be against the industry. Strategic value 2 at Yeovil. So the only way this is actually going to happen is if I roll hard 6 right now. Doesn't happen. That was close. Next option for us is from 2 south. Radar net, strategic value 2. This is going to be a raid of some sort. It's going to be a major raid. Going against here in 711, this radar net. There's just nothing that I've got over here. They're all on the ground, so this is bad. British detection. Major raid. If they're able to pull off a major raid, they are actually getting really thin, but they've got enough. Okay. Major raid. So 3 DRM for the major raid. Another 6 DRM for the radar nets for 9. 1 for the observer. 10 DRM for this detection. 2 makes it 12. Sufficient warning with limited intelligence. So I get to know the raid size with limited intelligence, which is going to be 13. Man. And now I get to deploy. 13. Pardon me while I drown my sorrows in ale. Okay, so sufficient, limited. There's really nothing I can do. Even a delayed response, I don't have anyone in range. There's no one that can get there. So I'm just watching this happen. So raid deployment. This was a lot right at the end of the day. And I'm pretty much taking this entire card. Everyone's coming. So 4 HE-111s are being deployed here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are all of those. And the remaining 9 are going to be fighters. I'm going to get as many 109s as I can. I only have 2 109s left in this Air Force. So that then means that the remaining 7 need to be 110s. Oh, this could potentially be awful. I'm just going to grab every 110 I have left. They're all coming. And I got to just double check here on the rules for substitutions because I'm pretty sure no matter what, ME-110s don't do a fighter or sweep. That's just an awful idea. They should not do that. So what's probably going to end up happening here is if I do substitutions, that we're going to place them in close escort. Yep. So I'm just going to have a ton of close escort 110s that are each going to contribute a little bit of a bombing DRM here. What is going on here? And both of these guys have to be channel patrollers since it calls for 2 channel patrollers. Okay. Well, that is the raid for which I am doing nothing. Some commander's about to get sacked, I'm sure of it. That's probably me. Okay, so no hunter interception. The raid approach event at this stage is radio confusion. Oh, that's not good. Oh, it's also for me. 5 or more squadrons. Well, that didn't happen. Okay. Hunter attack doesn't happen. Raid target event. Snap raid by elite ME-110s, which does not happen because neither of those guys are ready. Importantly, the day is over after this. So at least there's an end in sight for this nightmare. All right, so squadron interception, nothing happens. So all of these guys come down here. Squadron attack, doesn't happen. And now we get to bombardment. So these guys are all bombing a radar net, and I'm pretty sure that strafing the radar is actually done at somewhat of a detriment. Let's see here. When attacking a radar, ME-110s have their strength. So, I will have to double check the actual roll on rounding, because I do have a 3 factor there. Strafers, page 14. Rounded up. Okay. So I've got 10, 20, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 26 bombing combat factors against this radar. And 1 shift to the left for the weather, 2 shifts to the right due to not being intercepted. This is pegged out at the maximum column of bombing damage. This radar is just going to completely go off the map. Holy cow, I rolled a 2. Oh, okay, that's 2 points of damage to the radar. Flips me from 1 VP in my direction to 1 VP in the Germans. That was the roll I needed. All right, so radar with 2 points of damage gets a light damage marker placed on it, and this was Rye here. So that has light damage now, which will be repaired. That had been heavy damage. This would have been bad for a while. So that could have gone a lot worse for me. Oh, I can't believe that. All right, German recovery. All of these guys go back to their airfield flipped. As do all of these guys. Let's see, A's, B's. Can I buy a vowel? A, C. Okay. Well, the end of that day was pretty awful. I don't know how you all feel about it. All right. So that's the end of that clock for the German recovery. We do a clock update. Time has now advanced to the end of the day. So we'll do a calendar update phase, which is down here. Squadron and group reset. So everyone's going to be going back to their homes for 11, with the exception of the damaged fighters. 3, 10. Get rid of you. Get out of here. Middle Wallop. Tangmere. Northolt. Make sure I get all these guys back to someplace useful. All right, so in this reset, we're going to be getting all these guys back to where they're going. So 511. 310. Let's see, yep, 410. 211. 511. 6. 7. 212. Okay, that's all that. That's the fighter reset. Let me reset the groups. So with resetting the groups, all these that are flipped out of your view, I'll flip them all and they will now become available for the next raid day. All my 109s flipped to available. All the 110s flip to available. And a considerable number of bombers from the Saga and Luftblatt. All flip to available. All right, so that was the reset. We'll do a day advance. So look at the day card here. 3 days elapsed, which of course is obstructed by the thing I've got on my table. So we'll go from August 19th to the 22nd. Park you up there, see if that works. Okay. And I get 3 victory points per day. So go from 1 in the German favor to 2 in my favor. And we'll do the day event. So the event here is set the target priorities. 2 VP in my favor forces the target priorities to be radar going low. I'll go ahead and bring all these down. port high, airfield medium, industry low, cities high. Okay, I'm going to get a lot of not raids, I think, this time, because right now I don't have a lot of cities in the card mix. Okay, so that is the event. Update replacement points. So I'm going to grab 7 more hurricanes, peg that out to 24. I'm going to grab 5 more Spitfires. I'm going to go from 15 to 20 Spitfires. 5 German fighters. I'll bring them from 19 to 24. 4 German level bombers. Bring them from 13 to 17. Replacement pilots. 3 replacement pilots bring me from 7 to 10 replacement pilots. Okay. Light loss replacement. I'll start with the Germans. The Germans actually have 5 squadrons in light loss, or groups rather. So that's 4 heavy bombers, bringing them back down from 17 to 13. So doing okay there. And 1 fighter from 24 to 23. So these guys will get to go back now. B, A, HE-111, B, C, HE-111, B, HE-111, and then C-88. All right. My light loss replacement. Ooh-wee. There are a lot of light losses this turn. Okay. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 light losses. I have pilots for all of them, although I will start running out. It gets me from 10 replacements down to 4. So these all come back as experienced pilots for all 6 of these replacements. 4 of them are Spitfires, 2 are Hurricanes. So down to 16 Spitfire, down to 22 Hurricane replacement points. All right, and everyone's able to come back now. So these go back to 111, 211, 4. The slog will continue. And 611. Okay. All right, the board looks a little bit more reset. That was the light loss replacement. Now heavy loss replacement. Now the Germans have 5 group and heavy loss. 2 of these are Stukas. They can't move from here. You can't do any replacements for Stukas. So I've got 2 level bombers that will need to be replaced from 13 to 11. And 1 fighter that will need to be replaced from 23 to 22. Okay, reinforcements. Now I will appropriately check and double check and triple check how much reinforcement costs me. So that way I don't pay the wrong amount. We are currently in August 22nd, which still, oh, interesting. So this might be the source of the discrepancy from previous. The version 1.3 of the flipbook that I'm working with here does list the squadron VP cost as 3. The rules from version 2.0 lists it at reinforcements. We'll find it. Here we go. British reinforcements, page 18. Negative 4 VPs. Oh, that's way early. Okay, so that's the change. So now that I'm this late, it's 3 VPs. Okay, I'm with it. So 3 VPs for up to 2 squadrons. All right, how do we want to do this? Let me pull up my available squadrons. I will note that I think I want to bring in maybe the remaining squadron that a little bit later in the game would get VHF. I think that's going to be a good use since VHF allows you to move folks a little bit further afield. Unless I already got them all. I'm just looking through my available reinforcements right now. Yeah, you know what? I may have them all already. So disregard that. All right. So I will take 2 for 6 VP, bringing this now 4 VP in the German favor. And I think, let's see, 12 group, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 10 group, 11, 11, 12 group. Okay. So we've got these two that I can bring in down here in 12 group, here and here. It's a bit too far away for me, I think. 11 group, I'm sorry, the 10 group I can bring in all the way over here. Again, I don't think I'm interested. So I'll bring those guys away. So this brings us back down now to 11 group. 3 actually gives us some options here because we can park in London, and there's quite a few that allow us, and also allow us to directly deploy to 111 or potentially to 511. There is an adjacency there, or to 410. So 311 gives us a handful of options, so we can bring in, say, the RCAF. So I can do that. And I can bring in another 111. I do think I want another 111. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm bringing in 311. I'm going to bring in a 111. And we'll call that a day. So we've done our bringing in some more reinforcements. There and there. Okay, card shuffle check. I'm actually going to have a bit of shuffling to do. My forced deck is pretty good and expended. We'll shuffle that up. And of course, now at this point, my target deck is looking pretty worse for wear. So, all right. Tell you what we'll do real quick. There we go. All right. If any of you have any comments or observations, if you're watching the stream live, happy to see them. Can look here at getting this next raid day going as well. My event deck is not clearly larger than the draw deck, so that's not going to be an issue. But I do have to do this target deck. So yeah, so it's an interesting concept here while I'm shuffling. And it's important to think about these games not as, of course they're not gospel, right? They're not the history. It's, these things are not what actually happened, right? What actually happened were conflicts. What we're seeing is the abstraction from someone who's being creative, right? These designers, this isn't a mechanical process. It can be interesting to think of this as a straight mechanical process, since that's how we see it as players. But really, for these designers, they have their philosophies and their understandings of these conflicts that they're trying to codify, and so we will be seeing some of that. And sometimes perhaps that's a result of an oversight or imbalance in the mechanics, but sometimes perhaps it's deliberate. For instance, one thing that you'll see as one criticism that folks have of the Eagle variant of this game, or the German solitaire play, is that the German player has too much free agency and is able to pack together too effective of forces and too effective of target selection. That was a historical. But then again, that can also be part of the plan of the designer to showcase how it could have gone. So you can get very ahistorical outcomes, but perhaps ones that may be better informed than what happened in history. All right, so I've done that. We've done the card shuffle check. We are now in the day preparation phase. So I just did the repair step, repairing the light damage to that RAI radar. Time of day, so I'll draw the event for time of day here. I got an advance of 1. So we'll go ahead from the 06 to the 0800 hour. Weather forecast. Let's see what the weather is today over the channel. 6. Bad weather. Broken over 2. Patchy over 3. So it's going to be bad for us on our ground observers, but it's going to be even worse for them as far as random events and for bombing. So that's fine. Advanced warning. So Luftwaffe 2 South is up with 3 on deck. Squadron patrol assignment. That's one of the things I find is interesting here with how weather affects. There's one element of weather effects in this game that I would expect to see that I don't see, which is weather effect on squadron recovery or landing. A lot of times, designers will choose to note that landing damaged aircraft or aircraft after battle is not necessarily a given. So a lot of times you see these weather effects also then going into landing. In particular, I'm thinking of maybe some of the night flying games, in which case landings are particularly treacherous. And so perhaps with the day landings here, that's less of an issue. But that's one thing that one might expect to see sometimes in these games. Okay, so squadron patrol assignments here. 2 south and 3 are what we're looking at. So I think I might bring 2 east in a little bit to help buttress this side. Yeah, so let's do that. So let me bring up 1 here. I'll bring up 2 here with leave a fair amount on deck. Send up our CAF and 311. Actually, what am I doing? 2 south is the primary target, so I'm actually going to make sure I get 2 fighters up in each of these areas. There we go. Get you going there. Let me get our CAF. Let me get both of these guys over London. I can bring up 211 here. Yeah, make you useful. Let's see here. Just to have that there. I'll bring up 1 from 111, 1 over. And then I'm going to want at least 1 patrolling in each of these areas. So get 1 there and put you up. Okay. Well, it's a deployment, so we can take that. Target determination. Kenley Airfield, which is strategic value of 3. As a medium target, that means I'm getting a raid. 4 makes it a major raid. Okay. So major raid against Kenley here at 211. British detection. 3 DRM for it being a major raid. 4 more for the radar, and that's a 7. This is in 2 with broken clouds, so I'm only going to get 3 more from the observers for 10 DRM. 10 and 4 is 14, which brings me at sufficient and accurate intelligence, which is a good result. So, raid size determination. Major raid, Luftwaffe at full strength. This is a 7 group and raid. I have accurate intelligence, so I will deploy the group in before I do anything. And again, this is from Luftwaffe 2. So with 7, oh, interestingly, I'm only going to get 1 bomber out of all of this. So let me grab one of these 88s. That'll be the bomber. I'm going to get 1 of the 110s. I think I only have the one that I have to pull. Let me grab the other 88 for diversity of selector, which then gives me 5 109s. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So 5 109s with 1 of them being a channel patroller. So I will choose C as the channel patroller, and then this is that deployment. Right, not a lot going on here, actually. A lot of fighters freeing the way. So at sufficient intelligence, I can get squadrons patrolling and in sectors en route. So en route, I actually have 2 sectors, 2 and 7, 11. So that's both of these. So the patrolling sectors would be all 4 of these, which they will all come. In sectors en route, I'm going to certainly get these guys off the ground here at Kenley. They're going to come up, because if they get bombed, they'll be sent off anyway. So that's 5. I think I want to do that. I think it's going to be 5 on... I think those are going to be the 5. I'm going to leave this guy here on the ground at Biggin Hill. That way I don't get too thin. And that's what I'm going to do. That's my commitment. So now with Hunter Interception, I exceed the number of groupings. So I can send 1 guy through. There's my A's, there's my B, there's my C's. So what I can do is I can say send forward 1 of the Hurricanes. So ensure bomber interception. And now we'll do our rate approach event. British altitude advantage. All right, it is not very early. It is not early. I do have accurate intelligence. So, amazingly, I actually have altitude advantage in this fight. I'm okay with that result. So now we'll do hunter attack. So I'm attacking 4 grouping. I have 14 combat factors against my fighters. So 4 grouping, 14 combat factors is the D column, shifted to E for my altitude advantage. So rolling on the E column. 3. So the Germans, no one gets shot down. I disrupt and abort everyone though. So this is disrupted. These abort. So I'm going to be affecting the clock a little bit. Regrettably, I'm going to have some detrimental effect, but not a lot. So my A actually go through. My B's abort. And my C is a light loss. So this Spitfire in 211 goes to light loss. I lose another victory point, 5 in the German favor. Okay, that was bad for that, but I'm going to have a ton of fighters here, and we're going to just wreck that bomber. I'm fairly certain. Okay, raid target event. Big wing. If more than one squadron from 12 group is attacking, they are not. So nothing happens. I will get a time advance, however. Okay. So now we're going to go into squadron interception. I have more squadrons than grouping, so all grouping are intercepted. And again, I will split up my selectors. So I will have an A and a B and a C selector, despite the fact that A's are printed. Squadron attack. So the one thing to check on these interception events is I'm curious if that altitude advantage, it's been a while since I've actually had one that applies for all of the interceptions, or if it was simply for the hunter interception. So real quickly, skimming over here we go. No, it is. So British side receives advantage in both hunter attack and squadron attack steps, which makes sense. So we've got altitude. All right, so for this attack, I have my 10 combat factors I brought. 5 for the bomber, 1 for the escort. So I have 16 combat factors against 2 group. 2 grouping, 16 combat factors is H, promoted down to I due to my altitude advantage. That's good as it can get. So we're going to roll on I. 3. So heavy losses to this close escort, 2 VP, bring it to 3 in the Germans. Heavy losses for B and abort on A. Well, at least it didn't bomb. And for me, I get an abort result for my C fighters, and then these guys simply come to there. Okay. Channel patrollers will return as well. Pretty good. No bombardment's going to happen. German recovery. This is the 8 o'clock time slot, so those will go to the 1400. These guys that flipped will go forward to 1600, and that's where they are. Clock update. I'm going to get 2 clock update here from that previous result. So this, so we're going to time advance from 0800 to 1200, which is going to give us an airfield operations phase. German fighter turnaround, nothing to happen there. Squadron turnaround with 2 time advances. Everyone in patrol goes back to their sector, ready to rock. So you come back to 4. You guys go 6 and 5. You guys go to 4 and 1. You go back to 310. 312, 110, 212. And finally, the London patrol comes back over the North Hold. Okay, so those are all the patrolling aircraft. Full in flight, return to their sector. So that'll be you, this guy in 211, this one in 711. The reduced in flight will go to rearm, flip to full. That's a 211 and 711 as well. All right, so there we have it. So that completes the squadron turnaround. We'll now do advanced warning. Luftwaffe 3 is the primary card. It's the one I'm expecting to pull. And the one on deck, actually, is from the same. So maybe something here, but if not, I might burn through 2 cards and have no idea what's going to happen. Squadron patrol assignment, you bet. You bet I'm going to attempt this, and we'll be doing this. So I am going to bring up... I'm going to push up where I can. Try and get coverage from other sectors. So I want to have 411 and 212 cover the 311 area to give me a little bit of options on. Actually, I want to have a lot of options on where I go. Okay, so we're going to have those guys there. I'm going to push RCAF and push these guys up to here. Now let's share the load here a little bit. Not overcommit, not get everyone in the air, but I do want to have enough where I feel like I can respond to most things. Get a C here. All right. Maybe I haven't put up enough. I don't have anything coming up over here, but none of my indicators are that, so I'll give it a shot. Okay, target determination. Radar net, polling, strategic value 2. This is only going to be a raid on a 6. I rolled a 6. I have a minor raid against the polling radar. All right, detection. 3 radar nets are on this for 6. And it's only patchy clouds here, so I do get 1 observer. 7 DRM on this roll. 7 and 3 is 10. I have late warning, but accurate intelligence. Okay. So what's that going to do for me? I don't have to do my commitment. The raid size for this minor raid is going to be 2. And I have accurate intelligence, so I'll actually deploy the raid before I do anything. So the 2 that I have from Luftwaffe 3 is an ME-110 and a JU-88. There they are. Putzing along, fat, dumb, and happy. All right, and so this is a late response from me, which means squadrons patrolling in 111 can respond, and that's it. Looking at my advanced warning, my next raid is also coming in this area, so there's reason for pause on how much I do here. So now I get to accurate squadron interception, which I have. So I have enough patrolling in this area that I could really, really jump all over these guys. But I want to figure I've got 2 groups that are bringing 7 combat factors of their own. So 2 groups, 7 combat factors. I'm going to start on the D. And yeah, I'm going to need to bring quite a bit if I want to go down to the just punishingly high levels to get a lot of hits in. So I'm going to do a full commitment here. I'm going to bring all 3 of them, and we're going to make these guys this deciding to come fly this way this day. Okay, so that's my commitment. Hunter interception, nothing happens, so all of the squadrons to the bomber box. Raid approach event. ME-109's close escort, move them from the hunt and in-flight boxes to the close escort. Doesn't happen. Raid target event now. Channel patrollers to close escort. We have no channel patrollers, so that will not happen, and we will have a follow-up raid against the same radar net. Noting here on what's going to happen with the time. All right, squadron interception. Everyone is intercepted. Squadron attack. So I've got 9 and 7 is 16 combat factors against 2 group. So 2 group, 16 combat factors, puts me down here at H. Rolled a 4. So the A is heavy damage for 2 VP my way, bringing it down to 1 German VP. And the bomber aborts. I get disruptions on A and C, and no issue here on B. All right, well, that was about as good as I could have hoped for. No bombardment, German recovery. I'll move the various bombers back to where they need to be for the next raid day. Clock update. No time advance due to this being a follow-up raid. So we're going to immediately go into detection against this radar net yet again. So it was a minor raid. It is still a minor raid. So 1 for being a minor raid, 1 for being a follow-up raid, 6 for the radar nets for 7, and 1 more 8 DRM here for my observer. So 8 DRM. I rolled a 6. 6 and 8 is 14, which is sufficient accurate. I'm going to be able to bring more people into this, thankfully. Okay, so sufficient and accurate. Raid size determination. Again, I'm being a minor raid. 2 again. It's accurate intelligence, so we'll see what 2 they are. An 88 and a 109. Again from third. So 88 and a 109. So I'll grab this guy. So the 109 is going to be in the hunt box. 88 is the bomber. Accurate squadron commitment. So as I mentioned, I had sufficient warning now, which is squadrons patrolling and in sectors en route. So all these folks that I had left on the ground here, I actually now can scramble to hit these 2. And I'm somewhat hesitant to go all out here since my on-deck card is still in this AO. So I don't know if I want to hit them hard and leave a little bit of a hole over 1. I think I scrambled 2. So I think I'm going to send these 2 to the hunt box, and they will do that. Hunter interception, I will send 1 through to get to the bomber, so it's going to be 1-on-1. Unless, let me see if I can fish out, if there's a possibility for me to fish out an ace here. 8 factors against 1 group would put me on G, which could make an ace if I roll something pretty incredible. Which, no, I'm gonna hedge my bets. Actually, no. I will have plenty of combat power left. Things will get through. I will still intercept the bomber. I'm gonna go for it. So that's my accurate squadron commitment. Hunter interception, I'm going to leave them all there. Raid approach event. Luftwaffe 3 area weather changes. Clear becomes patchy. Patchy becomes broken. So we are now broken clouds all over the map. Hunter attack. Okay, so now it's 8 combat factors against 2 group, which puts me on... is that right? No, against 1 group, I'm sorry. 8 combat factors, 1 group. That puts me on the G row. I rolled a 4. So that is light loss against the Germans. So we're at 0 VP. And my A would abort, my B is disrupted, and my C goes through. So I could push him through like that. As is, I'm going to have 9 combat factors, so I'm not particularly worried. So he'll go ahead and turn home without getting too much disruption. Raid target event. Channel patrollers, 2 close escort. There are none of those, so we'll just go ahead and treat that as a no event. And squadron interception. So the bombers do get intercepted by 602 squadron, and they will be attacked. So I have 9 combat factors against a single group, which puts me down on the H row, which is very good for all these Spitfires hitting these Ju-88s. It's a 4, and that's heavy losses against this C selector. So 2 VP in my favor now. Let's see, that 4 result on my C selector results in disruption. So Good day overall. Okay. 6:02 to end flight disrupted. No bombardment. No German recovery. Everyone just got blown out of the sky. Good day. And clock update. Time advance 2 from that previous card. So we'll go ahead and do that. So I'll move the time advance 2 markers, which will then give us German fighter turnaround for everyone on the clock. And there are a few. So let's see, we'll put these 109s back where they came from, put these 109s back where they came from, and proceed here to the 1600 hour. We'll do squadron turnaround. So we'll go ahead and see how that's going to work for us. For the 2 time advancement, 2 and 7, we'll go back to their spots. One's patrolling will go to their sectors, so let's get everyone back to where you go. 411, 411, 212, 310, oops, 410, 410, and 110. Okay. Full in flight will go straight to their sector, so that's going to be a couple here, 111 and a 311. And these reduced in flight will flip over and now come here to rearm. 111, 311, 111. These guys all earned that little bit of rest on the ground here, given their success against those minor raids. Okay, advance warning. Like I mentioned, the card on top is Luftwaffe 3. Wow. I promise I shuffled these. Card on deck, also 3. So again, we're looking right here for where the action's going to be. So patrolling, I'm going to follow the same idea in patrolling. I'm going to push up from 312 over to 310 to cover this side. I'm going to have 212 help cover over here in 410. I'm going to have 411 push up a little bit to help cover over Uxbridge. All right. I'm feeling a little more, get some other folks up. I'm feeling a little soft here in 111. It's a pretty popular place. I want to actually spread the love a little bit. How do I want to do this? Let me push you up here. I want to push you up here. Let me reverse those so I get better selector mixes. There we go. So I got 2, 2, 1. Let me see what I can do here. I'll bring over a Spitfire. Another Spitfire. I've got 3 up here. Got some here. Not too shabby. I still have a little bit of a reserve in case we have a stall and we get a lot of those raids coming. So we'll do it. Okay. Raid target determination. Port. Strategic value 2. Ports are still high. And this is really probably this is going to happen. It's just how big it's going to happen. It's a minor raid. Okay, minor raid. So what's that going to mean for us? At a minor raid, I don't get the +3 DRM on detection. I get 4 from radar nets, 1 more for observers. I get 5 DRM on this detection. +3 more is 8. So that is late detection with limited intelligence. So it's pretty much just going to be folks in the air. In 410. So I get these 2 guys can respond. But I do have limited, so I get to know how big this is. So raid size is 3. Well, so my choices are I can delay. If I delay, I promote from late to sufficient, and I can send everyone up from middle wallop to intercept. I think I don't want to let them bomb the port. I think I'm just going to send up the 2 that I have, and we'll see how this goes. Those are the 2 that we're patrolling in 410. So that's my limited deployment. Now the raid is coming out. And so that is going to be from Luftwaffe 3, a DO-17, which I don't have, so I'll grab an 88 and a 109. Oh, actually, I get 3 of these. So I get an 88 and 2 109. So A, B, C. All right. So there's that. And then I get B and C here. Okay. Hunter interception. This is going to be when I fend and evade, I think. They had 3. They've got a lot of fighters patrolling. It's going to be really hard for me to get, to hope for good dice and to get someone through. And so I'm going to have the Spitfires take on the brunt of what's going to happen here with these 109s. I'm going to select this pair. I'm going to send forward the Hurricane reduced to meet the bomber. So the bomber will be intercepted. But now this is going to be pretty bad for my Spitfire. But I think sacrifices must be made. So that's Hunter interception. Raid approach event for this interception is 109's close escort. Move all C 109 grouping from the hunt box and in flight boxes. Yipe. To the close escort box. Oh, okay. Well, I still did intercept the bomber, but this just went from pretty easy to bad for the Spitfire, good for the Hurricane, to now I've just flipped those two. But that is what it is. Hunter attack. So I've got 4 combat factors against 1 grouping. So, ME-109s versus Spitfires. 1 grouping 4. This is on the E column, slightly favoring me. I rolled a 2, super, which is actually a light loss for the 109s. So I'll take the VP there for 3. And for me, that's a light loss for the Spitfire. So back to 2. Raid target event. What happens over the target? Secondary target. All C grouping, which I don't have, bomb the secondary. And now squadron interception. So this combat happens as it is there. So squadron attack. I've got 7 combat factors against 2 grouping. This is pretty bad. This is on the D row, which is not where I really want to be, but I'll roll it. 5. So what's the result here? A and B group are disrupted. So he flips but stays to bomb. C group are light loss. So he actually does score a light loss, amazingly, against the close escort. So that's another VP for me, bringing me to 3 VP. And a nice pile of broken Germans. Now, regrettably, on that result, let's see what I have here. Actually, perfect. For A designators, this is no result. They just pass straight through the in-flight box. Well, okay, so I went in with a squadron of Spitfires and a squadron of Hurricanes against 2 grouping of 109s and a grouping of Ju-88s. I ended up having light losses on both of the fighter group and the significantly disrupting the bombers. They're still going to bomb the port. And I completely, my Spitfires have light losses and I've disrupted the Hurricane. So pretty bloody, but I'm working on the war of attrition. I still don't know who's going to win it. But we now have to do our bombardment. So this is 3 bombing factors, but thankfully now the weather is completely in my favor. So that's a 2 column shift left from 3. So this is on the 1 column. So pretty much I roll a 6 or nothing happens. Nothing happens. So the bombing is ineffectual. And this guy will come over here. All right. German recovery, that was it. The clock update now is an update of 2, which brings us from 1600 to the end of the day. Short raid day, not a lot of raids coming at me. And we are all the way done to the calendar update phase. So we'll reset the squadrons and the groups. So I'll just flip over all the ones that I have here. They need to be flipped. Yeah, that was a really short raid day. Done on the bombers. Now for me, I get to get all my patrollers back. Kudos to the designers of the Vassal module. I would really love to have the 1 button click, put all these back where they go button right now. Maybe I'm whining. This is just kind of the one somewhat irritating part of this whole process is picking up these patrols and putting them back. Okay, good. 310 over here. 110 here. 312. These guys go to 111. 311. 310. All right. Good. All the patrols are up. So that was the squadron and group reset. Day advance. So looking at my day card, I'm going to go from August 22nd to 4 days later, August 26th. That's going to introduce actually a 109 reinforcement to the 2nd Luftwaffe. Okay. And give me 4 more VP. I'll go from 3 to 7. And I've not been playing Luftwaffe Momentum, but I really don't think that they've been doing well enough where they will have momentum. I've not had too heavy damage. I don't have a lot of negative points. I don't have 7 or more squadrons and sectors that are reduced. Everyone's full up. So, the momentum doesn't come into play here. All right, so I got my VP for the raid days elapsed. Now we'll do the day event. Event is, again, adjusting target priorities. Now we'll do it based on calendar. We are on August 26th, which puts us in the 2nd group. So let's see, we'll shift all these. Radars are low priority. Ports degrade to medium priority. Airfields are back to high priority. Industry is up to medium priority. And cities back down to low priority. That was a bad idea, everyone thought. Okay. So we've done our day event. Replacement points. All right. Oh, boy, just a ton. I'm going to keep pegging out Hurricane. So Hurricane is pegged out. The Spitfires go up another 6 from 16 to 22. German fighters peg out. Plenty of reinforcements here. Lots of days. Kind of a leisurely blitz. And level bombers will go from 11 to 17 on their reinforcements. And experienced pilots, given my 7 VP, will bring me 4 new pilots. See, this is the part that's actually kind of low. Now I'm only down to 8 experienced pilots. Thankfully, I don't have that many to bring back in. Okay. Light loss replacement. Go ahead and get rid of this. I'll start with my few light loss replacements. I have 2 Spitfires to replace, which is going to cost me 2 experienced pilots down to 6, 2 Spitfires down to 20, and these guys will come back in, 211 and 212. All right. The Germans, they will have 4 fighter light loss replacements from 24 down to 20. Most of them coming here to the 3rd. A lot of action over here today. Bring you back to B. All right. And 2 level bomber replacements for these light losses. B and B. Now for heavy losses. So again, the Stukas stay where they are. And that'll be 2 fighter replacements down to 18. 1 bomber replacement down to 14. Those will stay there. All right. Now, reinforcements. I think I just kind of keep at this. I think I try to bring as many squadrons to give me as many options as possible. So looking back in the rule book to make sure I don't misplay that again. Now that we are at August 26th, this is still a 3 VP cost. So I can drop myself down to 1 VP to bring back a handful of more squadrons. Get 2 more squadrons here. Just going to verify that it is 2 that I get to bring. Yes. 2 per raid day. So I'll grab 2 more of these guys. All right, so now I'm seeing a little bit of the benefit of having, at least 212 here has been quite a good set of squadron. That squadron's gotten around a little bit to backfill. So let's see. 311, 211, 511, 711, 311, 110, 312. That's less useful. Those two places. I can get up here too, but 110 all the way over here. He can cover Luftwaffe 3. Again, just less useful. 212. All right, 212 I might actually be able to go for. Being able to cover 311, be able to cover 410. And there's 411 over here. 411 I'm less filled with as well. 311 has just been great. I want to bring in 303 Squadron. I'll be one of them. A lot of utility here coming up in North Holt. I think I want to come here in either 7 or 5. These folks are also quite useful. I think I want it to be 7 because they can also, 5 because they can reach a little bit further. So those will be the 2 squadrons I bring in today. Okay. All right. The board is filling up. Shuffle check. My events will need to be shuffled, but that's all I'm shuffling so far today. How are we doing on time? All right, well, we've run the stream just over an hour. Just over 2 hours. So I think this might be a good point to stop. I feel like both sides still have quite a bit of momentum at this point, but that is good for me. I think in this battle, parity for the British is success. They're really, if they're able to have as much in reserve as the Germans, they're doing quite well. And I feel like that's where I am right now. I feel like I'm doing quite well with the amount of reserve that I have. And so that's fine. That really is. I'm not looking great on experienced pilots. I'm down to 6 experienced pilots. But I've just got as many Spitfires or Hurricane replacements as I would want. But then again, largely the Germans can say the same thing about their replacements as well. So they've got enough steam to keep going. I've got enough steam to keep going for the moment. We have a couple more meat grinder raid days. Maybe that changes. But I sure do have a lot of options and a lot of 4 stacks up here for these deployments. I'm not able to get another ace out of the equation. That's a little disappointing. I'd like to do more. Still only sitting at 1 VP up, and so we'll have to, start looking at, Sea Lion and all these things to figure out as we get going, how this game would end. But roughly speaking, we're about halfway through to the Sea Lion preparation, but nowhere near the VP to force the Luftwaffe elimination. We have not yet engaged on the Luftwaffe depletion mechanics. Again, they have plenty of spares coming off the factory line. So, and we've not really seen a significant change in the Luftwaffe strategy here. They're still going for their standard airfields, ports, industries. We haven't seen the raids and the terror raids and the city bombings begin in earnest, and we would expect to see that here in a little bit. In fact, let me just double check real quick. This might be. This is my start of my 5th raid day? Yes, this is the start of my 5th raid day. So this might be the time in which the Luftwaffe just says screw it and throws everything at the problem. So let's see here: British stabilization, British reinforcements. Just checking on. Changing these priorities. Terror strategy. Here we go. So I've not had a T symbol go up on terror strategy. So unless I'm missing something here on the day event rules, it looks like we haven't hit any mandatory trigger to add any of these other cards. So we'll just kind of keep going. All right. Well, thank you all for joining me. Any of you that sat in chat and watched this live, I appreciate you coming by. For those of you catching this on YouTube, thanks for continuing to watch and follow along with me as we saw some more action here. come by reddit.com/r/hexencounter, which is Reddit's tabletop wargaming community. I'd love to have you and hear what you have to say. You can also catch me personally on Twitter with @AlecMG, Board Game Geek, Alec. Where else can you find me? I guess, and Twitch, twitch.tv/AlecMG. So thank you all for being with me. And hopefully I can record a video and wrap all this up at some point. But with that, good night.